And now, the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
Hello and welcome to the Wad Fam Chalk Pod. I'm Dylan Weaver.
And I'm Andrew Sabo, talking slightly louder than Dylan.
And slightly slower. I was trying to do this real quick.
Oh.
It really doesn't matter. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm living. I just got off a 8-hour shift at the Target, and I'm living life. How are you, Dylan?
Oh, doing so well. Love recording at 8:30 at night, the day before I'm going to edit this.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. It's better this than chainsaw in the background.
Yeah,
which was the other option.
That was the other option, because I couldn't record in my basement because my dad had a meeting, and there was a very large tree being chopped down right when we were recording.
Yeah. So you're welcome, Chalk Squad. We sacrifice a lot for you.
It's true.
So we're here to talk about yet another episode of the Blackgaard Saga, another episode on Darkness Before Dawn. This time it's track 4, Gathering Thunder, which is episode 326 of Adventures in Odyssey as a whole.
Yeah, I have reached the point in which my memory of the show has completely dropped off. Listening to it, then it comes back, but I have no clue what happens from here on out. When they say the boss, I have no clue what they're talking about. I think it's Blackgaard, but it could be Glossman. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Who knows?
Not me. So, Chalk Squad can rely on me for an honest take, because I have no remembrance of this.
Yeah. The episode first aired August 5th of 1995. And it's an episode written by Marshall Younger and directed by Paul McCusker. This is the
dynamic duo.
The only episode on this album that Marshall Younger wrote.
Wow.
Which is crazy, because he's the third top, Odyssey writer.
Yeah.
Behind McCusker and Lawler.
Quite large. Yeah.
Yeah. But to pull a bit from the official guide here, he brought up that these sorts of episodes just weren't his strength at this point in his career. And he did write a second episode called Betrayed, but that episode was cut. They just didn't have room for it in the schedule. That episode would have seen the Israelites losing sight of their mission and dismantling the Bones Fort.
Oh. I mean, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen that. I always thought that the Israelites were a really good bit, and I hope that Odyssey brings them back at some point, but I don't know.
Yeah, Israelites round 2. Let's go. What else do you have going for you now? You already disbanded the Parker Jones Detective Agency, so what's the point?
Yeah, exactly.
Or I assume that went through. I don't know. That was brought up in that one episode we listened to, and I haven't checked in since.
Yep, me neither. Honesty here.
Yeah. It is I don't know. It's a pretty solid episode. I was happy with it.
Do we have any notable cast members this episode?
Yeah, so we have Steve Bridges returning to the show. In this episode, he plays Doug, the dude who makes the phone call at the park, and he also plays Champ, who is the Rocky character on the movie at the theater.
Yep.
However, the official guide refers to that character not as Champ, but as Rock. So, yeah.
I really like the idea
Champ
of them
in
going
the dialogue,
to Rock.
But he is also called Rock in dialogue that I guess we don't really hear, but was written. They have the entire dialogue of that scene written out in the guide, and we're definitely going to do something with that in a bit.
Okay, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to that.
So Steve Bridges is a name that you people may know.
You people.
Because the Chuck Squad might recognize, because he was Stephen Dwight, which would be Dwayne and Jared's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And also he played Kyle Chambers, who was the love interest in the Twilight Zone episode where the person got trapped in a mall for like 30 years.
Oh, yeah.
So, deep cut for anybody who likes the Twilight Zone. I know there are some of you out there, specifically Johnny, who reached out to me this past week to say that they are a fan. So,
thank you, Johnny. You are
much
a hero.
appreciated.
Honestly, the fact that one person who liked it enough to reach out, like that is enough fuel for us to do something just as equally publicly despised.
We also have Walker Edmonston, in addition to playing Bart in this episode, playing the manager for Champ/Rock.
Yeah, that you can definitely hear it.
Yep, you can. And we've got show favorite Steve Burns playing the theater employee. Steve Burns is Rodney and also Mitch. And I'm curious to know if you picked up on this. So Jerry Hauser plays Jellyfish.
Yeah.
Without having looked beforehand, do you know who else Jerry Hauser plays?
No, but I really recognize his voice.
Okay, because I looked beforehand, and then it was all I could think about. And it is the fact that Jerry Hauser voiced Ben Shepherd.
That makes a lot of
Aubrey
sense.
and Bethany's dad.
That makes a lot of sense.
He's doing a very similar voice. And I'm sure it was a thing of, like, they had him in doing Jellyfish and really liked working with them. And we're like, all right, we're going to hire you on for like a character who's going to continue being in the show once Jellyfish is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But it stands out because he is not doing that different a voice.
Yeah, no, it's pretty transparent.
I mean, I could just bring up the fact that as a weird tidbit in the official guide, we find out that the name Jellyfish came from a San Francisco-based rock band of the same name.
Thank goodness. I mean,
Not
that makes a
from
lot more
the
sense than
animal.
somebody. Yeah, like, just, I mean, I like how they address it a little bit in the episode of being like, that's a strange name.
Yes.
But, like, also, yeah, that's a story that I do want to hear.
All right. I'm going to roll the promo then. I think that covers what I wanted to hit on off the top.
It's gang warfare on the next Adventure in Odyssey. When a master criminal takes over the Bones of Wrath, Odyssey's vandalism battle turns into war. It's only the beginning of a classic contest between good and bad, where even good guys must suffer for doing what's right. Choose your side next time on Adventures in Odyssey.
Where even good guys must suffer for doing what's right, as opposed to all the bad guys who suffer for doing what's right.
Yep. And also, like,
They
what
put
are they
the
expecting?
emphasis on the wrong spot there.
They're saying pick a side. Like, can I pick Bones of Wrath? Like, can I do that? They got a better name.
We've talked about it time and time again.
I know.
It's too good a name.
It's too good a name, and also, like, I mean, they're the veterans. They've been terrorizing Odyssey for years.
Yeah, though they haven't been doing a great job of it of late.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I'm picking age and experience.
Yeah, I mean,
also
that's your own prerogative, man.
That promo was very strange. Like, warfare. I have a lot of theoretical issues with the Israelites' plans.
Yeah,
we
will get into it.
Yeah, okay.
Because I am willing to play that whole thing out with you because they're not great.
No, like and it was really only upon, like, this second listen through that I was like, wait a minute, there are so many ways that you could have done this and it didn't end badly.
Yeah. We'll get into it.
We will get into it.
So, much like every episode so far this album, we start up where we left off.
Exactly. With Connie, Sam, Billy, Lucy, are all in the cave, the Israelites' hideout.
Yep. An undetermined cave that has not been talked about, but canon is the secret cave of Robin Wood, and I will not take any other answers to that. That is my headcanon.
I don't think it's headcanon if there's actual evidence to support it.
There's actual evidence, but it's never verbally confirmed as far as I know.
Okay, that's fair.
So, it's headcanon.
Okay. In a loose term.
Yeah.
So this is when we get the whole, basically Connie and Lucy are getting caught up on like what the Israelites are and what they've been doing, and Connie is absolutely an idiot.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same page with this.
Like, I get that it's like expositional dialogue is expositional, but also, really? You really have to do this? Like, clearly she was connecting the dots last episode, and then you get her doing this whole, like, dumb Connie is dumb bit this whole time.
And she was there 3 episodes ago when they learned about the original Israelites, and there 2 episodes ago for Small Fires, Little Pools, where Jack is talking about a good gang.
Yeah.
And then yet again, Connie's like, what are the Israelites? What's this?
Random acts of goodness?
Yeah.
What?
Where have I heard that before? It's like,
Yeah.
come on, just be better.
I know. Just write her a little better. Just be like, that makes sense, and then explain it. Give it the official thing. This is when we learn that Erica, Charles, and Courtney are also in the gang.
Yeah. All Odyssey kids that we know from this era of the show. Courtney Vincent, I think is the only one we've actually talked about in our coverage. But Erica Clark and Charles Thompson also exist.
Confirmed. They do exist.
Well, I think it's cool that they're not just dropping
names.
Random names, because they could say any name.
Yeah.
Like, you remember that one episode of Novacom where there are 2 kids fighting at the Novacom Kids Center, and it's like Tad and like Buster, and they're beating each other up, and Wit's like, hey, Tad and Buster, stop doing that. And they're like, okay, Wit. And we never know, we've never seen these kids before. We're just supposed to assume that they're people that Wit knows.
Yep.
Whereas this is like, no, we're going to name people that actually exist in the show.
Well, and it's good because it plays along with their characters, like, these are good kids, and they're in the good gang.
Yeah.
And then we get the whole, like, Lucy being like, why didn't you tell us about this? And is it Billy or Sam who's like, we can't talk about it? And me
Sam.
having impeccable and unintentional timing in watching movies before I prep for these, I watched Fight Club. And so the only thing I think of is like, first rule of Fight Club, nobody talks about Fight Club.
Right. That is rule number 1. And rule number 1 of the Israelites is also nobody talks about Fight Club.
Yep.
That is not a Odyssey appropriate movie.
No, it's R-rated. There's quite a bit of language and nudity.
We should be yelled at for even mentioning its name.
True. That's my bad. My bad, Chalk Squad. Ask your parents before watching Fight Club. It's I don't know. I mean, really, they totally could have just told them. It really makes a lot of sense for them to have been involved. We had this discussion last episode.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Israelites. It's no wonder that they disbanded. Spoiler alert for the end of the episode.
Yeah. Watch out. But yeah, their whole thing is like, we don't let outsiders know. Oh, we also find out in this scene that even in this modern day incarnation of the Israelites that includes grown man Billy McPherson, the Israelites are still wearing Old Testament clothes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is special. I'm like,
It was
why?
So funny.
Why?
Because we learn earlier that, like, it started out as a group that, like, reenacted Bible stuff. And, But it's like they've been brought back to
There was a box in the
combat.
corner of Wit's workshop that was just like, Bible costumes, and they dusted it off, and they put
Right,
on their
but-
their sandals and their tunics and whatever.
I just love that Jack has brought this group back from the dead so that they can combat the Bones of Wrath, which are breaking windows and sprinklers. And they're like, yeah, you know what our group needs to help them? Costumes.
Well, I get
Let's
like
get
the whole
these
like they're
guys
superheroes,
in some togas with sandals.
Yeah. Well, I guess, it sets them apart. If anybody were to see them, they would know that, like, nobody sees those people running around and thinks, those are a gang of bad people.
It's
so
so funny to me. Also, I'm like, because like it's canon. Erica and Courtney are apart, and now also Connie and Lucy. It's like, are they wearing like dresses?
Oh, they must be.
So they're running around
Yes.
countering
Yes.
vandalism in dresses that are like dragging on the ground. Like,
And they're
it's just-
definitely wearing either sandals or they're barefoot.
like, it's just so funny in my mind.
It's a
Especially-
powerful image.
Especially with, like, won't graduate high school for another, like, 2 years, Connie Kendall.
Yep.
And Billy McPherson, who is, like, college-aged.
Yeah, no, this is a grown man with presumably like a dad bod. And he's probably like the one shirtless guy with a sash around his waist.
Oh, my word.
I'm thinking Sinbad-esque.
It's so funny to me. So we kind of just talked about it, but Connie and Lucy do enthusiastically accept joining the Israelites.
Yep. And then we get we get a phone call from
Doug.
from Doug late at night. Was he waiting to be picked up?
Yeah, he calls somebody. We only hear half of the phone call.
One-sided.
And it's Doug talking to somebody asking to be picked up, and he's like, I don't know, I assume at the gazebo in the park. Well, he's at a phone booth, but
Yeah.
in McAllister Park. He calls that there are, and tells the police. Oh, so he hangs up that call and calls the police and says that there are 7 kids throwing eggs and tomatoes at the memorial. And then he's still on the phone. He's like, they just ran off. Oh, and now there are other kids show up, and they're like cleaning it up. They look like a gang of Arabian janitors.
Yeah, no, he says it looks like the cast of Lawrence of Arabia.
That's right. And he's like, he hangs up on the police to call Odyssey.
Yeah, he's like,
Times.
hey, I gotta go. I need to call the Odyssey Times. This is a great story. And I'm like,
It's like-
wait a minute. Okay, rule number 1 of being on the phone with the police. You don't hang up until they tell you to.
Right. Come on, Focus. Do a better job teaching kids police phone etiquette. But also, it's as though like they're going to patch him in live to the news, so
Yeah.
he has to be reporting it like as it happens. And
Yeah.
he can't just call them up afterwards and be like, "Look, so here's what happened."
Okay,
He's like,
also,
no, I gotta give Dale Jacobs the play-by-play at 11 o'clock at night in McAllister Park.
from a phone booth.
Right.
Presumably from a distance.
Yep.
Also, okay, why did the Bones of Wrath run off? Because they seem to be mildly startled.
Yeah, the way he said it did make it sound like they were like chased off.
Yeah.
But
Which
But I
makes me
think they
think that they're
did-
like the Israelites are like riding in like the end of Karate Kid with like a boombox just like blaring,
Right.
Kumbaya with their,
Yeah, well, I
mops
think
and
that's
stuff.
definitely. I think that's the image they want to paint, but that's not the story we're being given.
No, and that's the thing. Where
And-
it's also
and so
like
maybe
it's
it's the-
inconsistent with the bones. Like if somebody was gonna show up, they would challenge them, right? Like if
They
it wasn't
would,
the
well,
police.
and they don't know that. Like Rodney doesn't know that anyone cleaned up that night.
Yeah.
It's not like when they were gonna torch the baseball field, and the police chased them off.
Yeah.
So it sounds like maybe they just decided, like, all right, we've done a lot of damage. We just get out of here, before we get caught, and then the other people, the Israelites, showed up and cleaned everything up.
So
But
now is probably the best time for me to get into the logical fallacies of the Israelites' battle plan.
I was gonna suggest similar.
So their whole thing is they're like countering the vandalism. But that is and they're countering the vandalism because they know what's going to happen before it happens because they have Butch on the inside.
Right.
But the most valuable member of their team is Butch, who's on the inside, right?
Right.
Like he's the one that's getting all the intel. So the
Right.
most important thing for them is to not know that Butch is on the inside. But exactly what they're doing is leading them to know that
Oh, yes.
that they have a mole. So
Yep.
like
yeah,
why
if
wouldn't they
Jason
just
were
do
running things, this wouldn't have happened.
Exactly. Why
But-
wouldn't they do random acts of kindness like the day after or something like that?
Right. That would be good.
Or
The
they could
other
just
thing,
do other things that are completely unrelated.
Right. It's like the Israelites should not be, and the episode kind of winds up making this point by the end. But they should not be engaging in combat with the bones. What they should be doing is creating a sense of security around Odyssey just in doing things not to counter but to offset. If that makes sense, like they shouldn't be doing things in direct response to, but instead be spreading goodwill while the bones spread bad. And also, by having Butch on the inside, they should just call the cops.
Yeah.
They did it when the field was being torched. But like when the field was
and they
being
had
torched,
a pretty good
the cops stayed on the outside
Mm-hmm.
and scared the bones off. But if the cops would hide and like do like a proper sting, and the bones come in and they start doing things, and the cops step out of the shadows and arrest all of them for egging and tomatoing the place, it solves all the problems that this episode then brings forward.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Yep.
Solved. Like that.
Yeah. And even if they don't, they already have the cover of, well, they're stepping up their patrols, and, like, this is a public park. Like,
Right, exactly.
It makes
like,
sense.
It doesn't implicate Butch
yeah.
that they catch them. Mm-hmm. It just shows that the police are competent, which is what we want to show here.
Yep.
But that's all apparently besides the point.
That's too easy.
So we then go to Bart.
Bart and Rodney basically talking about the Israelites countering them and the fact that it gets to the news, and then the boss finds out, and Rodney's like, oh, the boss knows? And he's like, well, yeah, you read about it in the paper. And,
Yep, he wasn't too happy, and he's sending someone to take things over. And
somebody else is gonna run my gang?
it's really good.
Thanks.
And then
I didn't practice that one.
And then right on cue, Jellyfish steps in
Hey.
and explains that he is Jellyfish,
Yep.
and he's gonna run things now.
Yep. And then he's just a jerk.
Well, but also Rodney and Bart are idiots.
Yeah, I know. Basically, he comes in and is like the he's like the wolf equivalent from Pulp Fiction, which is a reference I'm sure all of our listeners will get.
Yeah, he's the fixer.
Yeah.
Like, these people don't know what they're doing and screwed up, and he's here to straighten it all out for the boss.
The boss.
Yeah, the boss, Who could that be? And then I haven't seen the cover art for this album, so I'm very unsure. And then and so Jellyfish is like, all right, Bart, I booked you a spot on the news. You're going to do a guest commentary. Rodney, you've got a mole, and we're going to deal with that.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, and then we get the whole, like, Connie, but it's Rodney bit where Rodney's like, yeah, it's like they're reading our minds. And, like, and it's like,
Yeah.
it's so, I mean, he is so oblivious, obviously. I get it. But, like, how long it takes for Jellyfish to get through to him that he has a mole is so painful. I'm like, oh, my Lord, couldn't you just say it? Like, why you gotta pad the runtime here?
Yep. Because we gotta establish that Rodney's bad at his job.
Yep.
Which, once again, I would like to inform everyone, Rodney's job is organized crime being run by children.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
now
no.
being run by Jellyfish.
Yep.
An adult man has come to a small town and taken over a gang of kids in order to cause chaos.
Yep.
This is the world that we are living in.
Yeah, no, I
or
mean,
listening in.
well, he's, you know, he's a counter to, or he's a foil to Billy. I mean, it kind of makes sense, but also, like, Billy doesn't make a whole lot of more sense either, in the sense that, I mean, yeah, he was a part of the original one, but, like, why?
Yeah.
Although I guess you could say it was a ministry opportunity for Jack. Okay. I mean, I can defend that a little bit. But it's still
Yeah.
very strange and very uncomfortable. These are gang... I mean, like they say it in the promo. This is gang warfare done by children.
Done by children, organized by adults.
Yep.
Like, that's the part that sticks out the most.
The motto
If it's
for
too-
every single birthday party I have been to as a child.
It's just, it's like, yeah, if it was just kids getting into each other's business, fine. But this is like, it's Jack Allen versus mysterious person in the background using Billy McPherson and Jellyfish as intermediates with a bunch of kids.
Yeah. No, it's not good. It's really not good. And, like, obviously I get it. Like,
It's a kids show. We understand.
It's a kids show. And also, like, the fact that kids are involved makes it more likely for there to be a unnecessary and, you know, plot-moving conflict. Like, you're right.
Yep.
But also, really? And so then we get the newscaster transition,
Yeah.
our favorite
Yeah.
transition on the show. I say completely unironically.
And Bart Rathbun pops up on the TNV to talk about how this poor economy is driving people to vandalism.
Yep, and we get what he begins with him being like, well, I guess you're wondering why I'm wearing this nice suit and handkerchief. What? Is he wearing a bandana? Is he wearing it around his neck?
No, he's got a pocket square.
But pocket square and handkerchief are not the same thing.
It's Bart Rathbun.
Yeah, I get it, but also...
Or maybe he's just like one of those people in like the old timey movies standing out at the corner of the street just waving his handkerchief.
Yeah.
There's a boat leaving and he's just waving it. But you know,
I'm
it's
imagining a sort of like old Western, but like oddly dressed up situation where he has it like, you know, tied real tight and it's around his neck.
Oh,
And
yeah.
uses it to keep cool.
right, and then can bring it up to block his face when he wants to heist.
Yep.
And so
We get the self-promotion bit.
yeah,
I love it.
Always good. He's just like none of this happened before Tom was mayor.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name any names, but don't you think that it's funny that none of this was happening before Tom Riley was mayor?
Yep. It's good. Then
he says, I'm done.
Yeah.
I didn't make a note of that on my notes, but it made an impact on me, like, spiritually, for him to be like, okay, I'm done now. I kept expecting him to be like, oh, and there's a sale at the Electric Palace and blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah.
and then get like shuffled off.
Yeah.
But no. The thing that I think is interesting here is just Odyssey being like, we've done too much Bart on the Brian Dern show. We got to switch it up and throw him at this other random news show.
Yeah. Which, that was also one of those things where I was deeply questioning it. I was like, wait a second. Why would they let Bart on the news?
Well, and like the guy goes out of his way to be like, this place doesn't represent any of our feelings towards anybody. This doesn't represent the station in any way that could be conceived of as bad. We're just giving voice to a lunatic, and that's a good thing. I'm, Link Wainwright, Channel 10 News. Whatever the dude is.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. Well, and then you get the whole bit of Bart being like, okay, how do I take this off?
Yep.
Which, because he sounded too intelligent before.
Yeah.
We needed to remind everybody that he is a buffoon.
Right. The biggest.
And then we get Jellyfish meeting the Bones.
Yep.
And we get his kind of plan to hit Wit's End.
Yeah.
We get a little bit of a dialogue where, Rodney's introducing him, and he's like, oh, this is a fine group of young gentlemen. And Rodney's like, oh, really? And he's like, no.
I could find better material to work with inside my shoe.
Yeah. Which, ouch.
Yeah.
But also children, you know.
Right. Well, and so Jellyfish has been in town for a day, and he somehow figured out that the Israelites are connected to Wit's End, but he doesn't know who they are.
Well, assuming he's sent by the boss, right?
It's complete. I don't know. It's so funny to be like, yeah, we're going to hit Wit's End because I figured out that that's the place that the Israelites are connected to. But also, I don't know anything more about the Israelites than that they happen to be connected to this soda shop. What is the connection? I don't know.
Discovery
I'm not going to
Emporium.
tell you. And it's just this whole scene is Jellyfish just being a jerk to the Bones, and I do not understand why the Bones feel inclined to follow him. I realize that the whole reason this started is because Rodney had, like, Bart, because of the deal for the Electric Palace, got roped into this and then roped Rodney into it. Like, I get that. And so Rodney roped in the Bones, and it made sense. Like, they're a gang that causes ruckus. They want to do that. Rodney's just going to do it with a little bit more purpose than normal. But now this outsider's showing up to run things, and they're all just like, yeah, sure. We'll go to the movies. That sounds like something we would do.
Well, they're also children, and, like, this is presumably a fairly scary man.
Yeah.
So
I guess
there might be
that's
some intimidation factor of, like, this guy already doesn't like us. He's been sent by higher up. I mean, they don't even really know that, presumably, the Bones.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's the plan, is to hit Wit's End. Butch pushes back. He's like, wait, why are we doing that? Like, what does it prove? And he's like, look, there's two things you need to know if you want to work with me. Rule number 1, don't question me. Rule number 2, nobody questions me.
Yep.
And,
and if he didn't sound so much like Ben Shepherd, I would really like what he's doing in this scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But unfortunately,
it's just
I
Ben
am
Shepherd.
tainted by the fact that he sounds just like Ben Shepherd. And so the next scene is Butch filling Sam in on all that, filling in Sam, not filling salmon, on everything that just transpired. And Sam's like, why do they call him Jellyfish? And Butch says, maybe he's slimy or a good swimmer or something.
Are jellyfishes slimy?
I don't think so.
They're
also not really good swimmers. It was just really funny to me.
Yeah, that was that was a thing that really like maybe he stings hard. Maybe there was a covert operation and he got stung and he had to pee on himself and it was embarrassing and the nickname stuck.
Yeah, it's
The fact that it
it's
was the
great.
name of a band makes a lot of sense from the writer's perspective, but I am deeply curious about the Odyssey universe as to how he
Right.
got that nickname.
But,
Wait,
like-
what's the guy who wrote the books about the Blackgaard saga
what
that
Phil
reached out to
Lawler.
us?
Phil Lawler.
Okay. Phil Lawler. If there is information about Jellyfish's name's backstory in the books, I will buy them and read them.
They haven't gotten to Jellyfish yet. The one coming out this fall will cover Waylaid in the Windy City.
Oh.
So
Okay.
eventually, I hope we get a whole book that's just Jellyfish's origin story.
Starts as him as a young lad.
If you want to send us free
My-
promotional material, Phil Lawler, we will cover it.
Oh yeah. Emphasis on the free.
Right. It's at this point that Sam starts to, for the first time, try and talk Butch out of spying here.
Yeah. Well, and basically he's like the whole thing, like how the conversation progresses is we get, the boss, Butch brings up the boss, and Sam's like, oh my gosh, this is higher up than even Rodney. Like, this is more than just, the Bones of Wrath being bad people. This is organized crime.
Right.
And then Sam is then concerned because obviously Butch is caught between the two of them. And that is that is the right response, I think, from Sam. Like, yeah, you should be worried. Like, clearly this guy is smart. You can't bank on Rodney's stupidity anymore. Like, you gotta go for
that
it.
is quite the thing to bank on.
Yeah. And then we get the whole bit of Butch being like, oh, don't worry about it. You were always such a worrywart. You were the only kid in 3rd grade who stayed inside during recess because you were afraid of the effects of global warming.
Thank
To
you
which-
for also writing that down, because that is a wild line.
Yeah, I didn't write it down, but I do have it memorized.
You're a better man than I.
Yeah, not really, but I've listened to this episode multiple times despite my lack of knowledge of the plot. Which again, like, why global warming would affect recess. I get scary article, ozone layer. Was he reading like the equivalent? Was he got on, what is it called? What's Alex Jones's news network called?
Infowars.
Yeah. He definitely read an Infowars article.
I was gonna say he read something from Nat Geo Kids, but
that works too.
I feel like Infowars is like global warming doesn't exist. You're stupid if you believe in it. I feel like that's their stance, not hide inside during recess because global warming's a thing.
That is fair. Okay. So
Though I do appreciate the Infowars reference.
Anytime. I mean, whenever I think of something radical.
Yeah. Yep. That's
actually
fair.
more so just conspiracy theories, but
Yeah.
Um,
Right, which global warming is not, for the record.
Nope.
That is not what Andrew's saying, and if it is, I'm kicking him off this Zoom call.
Nope. I'm certainly pro the existence of global warming. Not that it's a good thing, but it definitely does exist.
Okay.
I'm rooting for the ozone layer. You get it, girl. Layer on layer, like a tiramisu.
Oh.
The views of
Okay.
Andrew Sabo do not represent the Wadbam Shark Pod.
I should put that in our bio. Look, only one of our hosts matters in this show.
Yep.
The opinion of the other one is very irrelevant.
It's true, and it's 90% of the time wrong, so...
Oof. So the
I'm
next
the palest color commentator out there.
So the next scene is Jellyfish losing his crap because Rodney went to a hardware store and bought spray paint.
Yeah.
And Rodney is once again a complete idiot and doesn't understand why this was a problem.
Yeah.
And it's so funny.
It is funny, but also, like, if he paid with cash, what are they going to do? Check the security footage?
Well, it's a small town. Everybody knows who he is.
That's fair. Okay.
His dad is Bart Rathbun.
But where else was he gonna get the spray paint?
I think what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to find the kid whose lunch money you normally steal, and you bully him into buying the spray paint for you.
Ah, that's some jellyfish thinking right there.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is Jellyfish did nothing wrong, and that's who I'm modeling my life after going forward.
Exactly.
The
Completely
opinions of
inerrant.
Dylan Weaver do not represent the opinions of the Wad Fam Chalk Pod.
The Wad Fam Chalk Pod is a separate entity from both of us.
And its opinions do not reflect the opinions of Focus on the Family.
There it is. Don't distance ourselves too much. We need to get official sponsorship.
And yeah. So it's at this point then that Sam bikes by going 1,000,000 miles an hour because it's an audio show and we have to hear it. And this gets Rodney's attention and he's like, oh, we stole that kid's bike and now it's back. And Jellyfish is like, huh, interesting. Does he have any friends who are in the Bones? And Rodney's like, no, of course not. He just used to be friends with Butch. But that couldn't at all be what you're referring to.
Oh my god.
Gotta love Rodney.
Yeah, you do. You really do. The sad thing is that, like, when he got smart in the Novacom series, I was genuinely happy for him. Like, when he got brainwashed into being a smart person, I was like, oh my gosh. Like Rodney.
When 5 years from now, he was still a kid terrorizing other kids.
Yeah, I mean, but presumably he had made it up at least 2 grades by then.
Oh, maybe that's the most realistic part of the Odyssey timeline.
Is Rodney?
Rodney
I feel
getting
like he is by far the least realistic.
No, I'm saying Rodney getting held back in school makes the
Oh.
whole timeline make sense now.
Yes.
Connie can't be held back in school because she's got to become valedictorian of her graduating class.
Maybe her story is one of rags to riches. She got held back 8 times.
But then she did the best senior year that could be done.
Yeah, I mean, on her 3rd try, Algebra 2 finally stuck. No hate for anybody in the Wad Fam Chalk Squad who had to take Algebra 2 3 times. I escaped that class with a B, and don't know how.
He is don't know how. And so
Okay. Yup. I need a shirt that says that. I don't know how. That's my Halloween costume.
Works with the break in there though. Like, don't know how. I don't know how I exist, but I do.
It's the part they edited out of the Bible when Moses was talking to God. It's like, I am. I don't know how.
Oh, we are gonna get some hate over that joke.
The point is, it's a joke, though. The Bible is serious.
I know
love
that.
you, Chalk Squad.
And
Please
you
don't
know
crucify
that.
me.
Oof, good choice of words there, Andrew.
Well, you gotta stay with it.
This is why we can't record at night. We used to do this a lot.
Yeah.
So then...
No wonder we had fewer listeners.
So then the other thing Jellyfish explains is that all the Bones are going to go to the theater.
Yep.
Then he, Butch, and Rusty are going to sneak out and hit... Oh, sorry, they're at the theater now.
Mm-hmm.
And he, Butch, and Rusty are going to sneak out to hit the Harlequin.
Mm-hmm.
This giving them an alibi that they're there. And he's switching to the Harlequin because the mole would have communicated Wit's End.
Yep.
And he also... well, no. I guess the next thing is the Bones in the theater
Yep.
making jokes at the screen while Champ happens. So, courtesy of the incredible Adventures in Odyssey, the official guide, we have the entire script from this scene, some of which you can hear in the background, most of which you really can't. And Andrew and I are going to act it out here for
Okay,
you.
so are you manager or am I manager?
Who has the better Stallone impression?
It's great. It's great.
Just make it
I
sound
gotta
like you're...
go the distance.
Yeah, okay, it's you. Just make it
Okay.
sound like you're gargling marbles and you're good.
I gotta go.
All right, so to start things off, Rock.
I gotta go the distance and prove I can still fight.
You're crazy!
I gotta do it for my kids.
For crying out loud, champ! They're married and have their own kids. You can't. They can fend for themselves. You've proved yourself to them. Now you gotta move on.
To what, Mick? I can't do nothing but box. I don't know nothing else. I know it is. Yeah, I know. You're gonna put me in a nursing home, aren't you?
Oh, Rock.
You don't want me back in the ring, 'cause it'll prove I can take care of myself.
I'm not doubting that you can take care of yourself.
Oh, yes, you are. And I'm gonna prove it to you.
You don't have to, Rock.
I'm gonna do 50 sit-ups right here in front of you.
Oh, Rock, you don't have to do that.
No, you don't believe me. Rock gets on the floor. Hold my feet.
Okay, if it'll make you feel better.
After a long while and much struggling.
1.
Ugh.
Yeah, you should have actually gone for the Foley work there, Andrew.
For the what?
For the Foley work, you should have actually gotten on the floor.
Oh, I was going to. I was very, very interested in committing to the bit there. I mean, I suppose I can do it in retrospect if they want to hear, but
It's fine.
wow.
I love when Odyssey gets the chance to do this sort of thing.
It's so ridiculous. Okay, so the premise of this movie, right? Old boxer, can't do it anymore. I get it. You want to
Right.
put him in a nursing home. So we get geriatric boxing. Okay. Geriatric boxer says he will prove himself by doing 50 sit-ups.
Right here in front of you. I really hope that this interaction here causes editors of the AAO wiki to change the credit from Champ and Champ's manager to Rock and Mick.
Yeah. Yes, please. I mean, we don't have access to edit the wiki.
And if we did, would we?
Only in this instance do I actually feel strong enough about it.
All right.
So Butch then goes to make a call.
Correct.
And
he
gets
sneaks out
caught
of the
by
theater
jellyfish.
and is grabbing the phone book so that he can call Wits End to inform them that they are no longer gonna hit there and they're gonna go to the Harlequin instead. And Jellyfish shows up and does like mob boss intimidation on him.
Yeah, he's like, "Who you gonna call? Why you calling him?" And he's like, "Oh,
Ghostbusters.
I didn't tell." Ghostbusters. But yeah, so he's gonna call his parents, and he's like, "Oh, how very conscientious of you. Your parents must be very proud." And then he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna go back to the movie now." And he's like, "Yeah, I think that's a good idea."
Yep. And then the next morning, right?
Yeah. Then it's what is it, Connie, Sam, and Billy, right?
Yep. And it's and is Lucy there too? Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Connie's like, yeah, more damage than ever was done at the Harlequin. And they're like, well, can we just arrest the Bones? And they're like, well, the Bones had an alibi of being at the movie theater last night. And
Weren't they at the
Billy's-
library at some point?
That's the next alibi, Andrew.
Oh, that is the next alibi.
So yeah, Billy's like, oh, like he starts to piece together that this is like Jellyfish's thing, and
Yeah.
he goes to talk to Butch, and Butch is like, no, I love doing this. It doesn't matter to me that it's dangerous. Like Like, it's the only time I felt good.
Yeah.
And,
No, isn't it Sam who goes to Butch? Oh, no, Sam goes to Butch later.
Oh, no, sorry. It is Sam going to Butch. That's absolutely my fault. I called Sam Billy.
Yeah, and yeah, he's basically like, you know, they know that they know about Butch, basically.
Right.
And he's like,
Yeah,
well, why don't
Billy
why don't you just go
figures
back
that
to
out.
being in the bones, like you were before, and like not thinking about anything? And he's like, well, things are different now. And it's a very good character moment for Butch.
Yeah.
Like I really
Yeah.
like that for him.
Yep. And then immediately after, Jellyfish finds Butch walking in the woods, and the Bones beat him like crazy.
Yeah, they beat the snot out of him.
Yep. He gets a black eye and a bruised and a messed up nose and bruises, and Sam
Fat
goes. Yeah, Sam goes to see him, and
He doesn't want to come to the door because he doesn't want him to know that he got beaten up.
Yep.
And that's when Butch catches Sam up about how the bruises happened. One thing of note in this catch up, he says the bruises on my body were a group effort, and my new band name is Group Effort Bruises, just so you know.
okay, good to know.
It will be on SoundCloud. It will be like sad bedroom music for when you're crying.
All right, I look forward to it.
Yep.
And then Bush has what I think is a really good quote talking to Sam here, where he seems to have done a complete 180 from the previous scene in which he was like, I'm going to continue doing this even though it's dangerous. And he says to Sam, you don't seem to understand something, Sam. These guys are serious and dangerous. You're not just doing good deeds around the city anymore. You're in a war.
Yeah.
And
Which I don't understand as to how it took Butch getting the snot kicked out of him for them to realize that, but you know.
yeah, but it did. And then we find out that Butch explained this to his parents. His parents then went and explained to the police, and then came and yelled at Jack. And Jack has shut down the Israelites. We don't actually hear Jack in this episode, which I thought was interesting. But
Yeah, he is mentioned quite a bit.
Yep.
The other thing is that the Bones had an alibi for beating up
right.
Butch because they were, witnesses of them being at the library.
Right.
And it's just another one of those like, oh, they're at the library. Everybody who knows them knows that they, wouldn't intentionally be at the library.
Yep. But yeah.
And then, so basically the episode goes out on, the Israelites have disbanded. The Bones of Wrath have won.
It's true.
That's it. That's all she wrote.
Yeah.
Oof. That's
Yeah.
a doozy of an episode.
It really is. Its episode does not pull punches, pun intended.
Yeah.
Nor does it pull sit-ups.
Nope. Well, I suppose it is one, but I don't even really know. Like, it's good. I don't really know where it goes from here, though.
Yeah, I like that it's an episode that shows the consequences of what's going on. It is another good step in the escalation of all this stuff.
Yeah.
But it does also feel like a lot of this could have maybe been avoided with slightly better guidance.
Yeah. Well, and I like it because it kind of it shows that the good guys still get hurt and the good guys are still fallible,
Yeah.
Like, I think oftentimes, especially in fiction for kids, there's kind of the good guys are good and they win because they're good. And, presumably, like, the bad guys don't win in the end, but also, really, at the end of this episode, the Israelites are disbanded and Butch got completely wrecked. And
Yeah. There is an unfortunate little bit that by characters talking to Butch and saying, hey, get out of this, you're in over your head, and then him proceeding anyways, it makes for our characters, Jack and whatnot, aren't at fault here. Jack and Billy, they did the best they could, and they did the right thing by shutting it down, but they're kind of victims in that they shouldn't have been forced to shut it down because this was Billy kind of going against what they wanted.
Yeah, and it's stupid because if they had done it better and if they had actually protected Butch,
Yeah.
like in any sense, like
Yeah.
the whole point of a mole is that they don't understand that he's there, and it was incredibly telepathic that he was there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Not a great job. Hashtag Jason should have been there.
Yeah, hashtag Jason should have been there. I don't think we can get it trending on Twitter, but I'll try.
Yeah. I don't know. The discussion questions are honestly just kind of stuff we've been hitting on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's really worth going through them this week.
Do we have any iTunes reviews or anything like that?
We haven't gotten any new iTunes reviews in a while, so if any of you listening would like to change that, go ahead and leave us one. I'm actively checking US and Canada.
Mm-hmm.
If you're from somewhere else and you leave us a review, we'd still love to read it. But you're going to have to email or tweet at us to let us know where that review is, because iTunes separates them all out. Also, if you leave a review for us on a podcast player that isn't iTunes, you can also let us know, and we will talk about that. Or read your review or whatever, because we do want to acknowledge 5-star reviews, because that is a huge compliment and favor that you're doing us. So
yeah, it's genuinely very nice. I don't know.
Yeah,
I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, we're just doing this show out of fun and joy, and I don't know, getting to hear about its relatively small impact, but still, like, it's just a nice way to brighten up our weeks if you feel like it.
Yeah, no, it really is. And we like making this show, and we love all the feedback, and honestly, being in the Adventures in Odyssey community has been nice.
Yeah, it has.
It's not always sunshine and rainbows for us, but it's I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot, and yeah. I love making this podcast. So
me too.
Speaking of podcasts.
Oh yeah. You want to do your plug, Andrew?
Yeah, I would love to, because for once in my life I have something to promote. So the fabled My Scrub soundtrack podcast has returned with an episode. It is everywhere that this podcast is. It's covering the song Surrender by Cheap Trick, as used in season 1 of Scrubs. It's real good. I mean, it's like 15 minutes long. The episode's real good. It's short, it's digestible. It's just me talking about it. A little bit of my own personal experience of the show, a little bit of a episode synopsis. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to make. My goal is to put them out every Thursday, and yeah, hopefully there'll be a link in the show notes.
I will make sure there is.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and there's another, like, the main characters of Scrubs, the actors Zach Braff and Donald Faison started their own, like, rewatch podcast of Scrubs, and that kind of inspired me to start mine back up again, since I have a lot of time at home. So
it's a good podcast for the quarantine because it's just you.
Yep, it's that is exactly why I'm making it, and it's real short, so even if you want to throw it a pity listen, I appreciate it.
There you go.
Not much of a commitment.
And then my plug is not actually a plug for me, but Focus on the Family during this time of the coronavirus has a new site up called Focus at Home.
Okay.
That
I am
is
not aware of this.
That is distributing a selection of their content for free, for families and stuff, but also anybody can do it. You don't need an account. It's literally just a site you go to, and they have episodes of Adventures in Odyssey up. They have audiobooks for the first Blackgaard book, as well as some of the Imagination Station books. And they also, of which I am a big fan, have two of the episodes of, or sorry, not two, all three of the audio episodes of The Last Chance Detectives.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's 3 hour and a half episodes. I think they're really good, and at some point, that might be a thing that we cover. They're available on the AIO Club, and currently, they're available for free via Focus at Home. So, go check that out. That was a really, really long plug for something that I do not gain at all personally from. But I care about you guys, apparently. And this is how I chose to show it this episode.
I support it.
All right. Anything else you want to hit on today, Andrew?
No, I think I'm pretty well plumb tuckered out.
Yeah, me too. This has been tiring. And we'll see you next week for episode 327, Moving Targets. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Wadfam Chalk Pod is a presentation of the Lidditz Podcast Co-op. This show is a fan podcast and has no official affiliation with Adventures in Odyssey or Focus on the Family. As such, the copyright is ours under Creative Commons. Follow the podcast at Wadfam Chalk Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or email us at wadfamchalkpod@gmail.com. Gathering Thunder was hosted by Dylan Weaver and Andrew Sabo and edited by Dylan Weaver. And I'm Nathan Haverstick, hoping you'll join us again next time for more of the Wadfam Chalk Pod.